Good morning, ma'am. My name is Harsaib Singh from class 4th A. Today I am going to tell a story called Tomcat, the Judge. Long ago, there was a partridge who lived in a hollow at the foot of a tree in a forest. He had been living there for a fairly long time. One day, the partridge left in the search of food, as it had become scarce in that part of the forest. He travelled a long distance and then found a field of ripe rice. He remained there eating rice grains for many weeks and didn't return home. Soon he became healthy and fat by feeding on the ripe rice grains to his fill. Meanwhile, a rabbit occupied the partridge's nest and finding it empty and comfortable. After some time, the partridge returned and found the rabbit in his nest. "Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" angrily asked the partridge. "What? Your house?" said the rabbit. "It is mine, and I have been living here for many days." There was an exchange of hot words, but ultimately they agreed to get the dispute settled by a learned person and set out in search of a suitable judge who was experienced, learned, knower of the religious text and practices. They wandered far and wide, but did not find the desired judge to hear their dispute. Finally, their search took them to the holy river Ganges. There, at some distance, they saw a tomcat. He was busy in austerity and tapas, standing on his hind legs and eyes closed. He held a rosary in his right hand and recited prayers loudly. Actually, Tomcat came to know about their search for a good judge, and therefore he assumed the guise of a holy learned man and sat on the bank of the river waiting for their arrival. He was a wicked person and wanted to kill and eat up the partridge and the rabbit. When the rabbit saw the tomcat from a distance, he said to the partridge, "See, there is a holy and learned man busy in austerity. Let us approach him with our dispute of ownership of the house. But he is a tomcat, our natural enemy. However, he can be our judge, but we should approach him carefully and be at a safe distance from him," said the partridge. They both approached. Tomcat folded hands, keeping a safe distance, and said, "O holy man, please be our judge and settle the dispute between two of us." "Dear friends," said the tomcat, "don't be afraid and come closer. And tell me your dispute in detail. I am a religious and holy man. I have renounced the world and the violence in search of truth and God. I am hard of hearing. Come more closer." With these words, Tomcat won their confidence. Soon the rabbit and the partridge came very close to the tomcat and began to narrate their dispute. He listened them patiently for a few moments and then suddenly pounced on them with his sharp paws and more sharp teeth. Instantly, he wounded and killed both and then made a good meal of them. The moral of the story is, we should solve our problems on our own. The character in this story I like the most is the partridge, because he travelled a long distance in the search of food and he never gave up. If I would have been in their place, I would have solved the problem on my own and I would have gone to a known person. Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am. My name is Ansika Pandey from class 4th A, roll number 10. I am going to tell you a story. The title of my story is The Tom Cat and the Judge. Long, long ago, there was a partridge who lived at the hollow at the foot of a tree in a forest. He had been living there for fairly long time. One day, the partridge left in search of food as it has become scarce in that part of the forest. He traveled a long distance and then found a field of ripe rice. He remained there eating rice grains for many weeks and didn't return home. Soon he became healthy and fat by feeding on ripe rice grains to his fill. Meanwhile, a rabbit occupied the partridge's nest, finding it empty and comfortable. After some time, the partridge returned and found the rabbit in his nest. "Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" angrily asked the partridge. "What? Your house?" said the rabbit. "It is mine, and I have been living here for many days." There was exchange of hot words, but ultimately they agreed to get the dispute settled by a learned person and set out in search of suitable judge who was experienced, learned, and knower of religious texts and practices. They wandered far and wide but did not find the desert judge to hear their dispute. Finally, their search took them to the holy river Ganges. There, at some distance, they saw a tomcat. He was busy in astray and taps. Standing on his hind legs and eyes closed, he held a rosary in his right hand and recited praise loudly. Actually, Tomcat came to know about their search for a good judge, and therefore he assumed the guise of a holy and learned man and sat on the bank of the river waiting for their arrival. He was a wicked person and wanted to kill and eat up the partridge and the rabbit. When the rabbit saw the tomcat from a distance, he said to the partridge, "See, there is a holy and learned man busy in astray. Let us approach him with our dispute of ownership of our house, of the house. But he is Tomcat, our natural enemy. However, he can be our judge, but we should approach him carefully and be at a safe distance from him," said the partridge. They both approached Tomcat with folded hands, keeping a safe distance. They said, "Oh, holy man, please be our judge and settle the dispute between two of us." "Dear friends," said Tomcat, "don't be afraid and come closer and tell me your dispute in detail. I am a religious and holy man. I have renounced the world and the violence in search of truth and God. I am hard of hearing. Come more close." With these words, Tomcat won their confidence. Soon the rabbit and the partridge came very close to the tomcat and began to narrate their dispute. He listened them patiently for a few moments and then suddenly pounced on them with his sharp paws and more sharp teeth. Instantly, he wounded and killed both and then made a good meal of them. Now, some questions and answer. The question number 1 is what is the moral of the story? The moral of the story is we should never argue. If we will argue, the third person will get the benefit. Question 2. Which character did you like and why? I liked Rabbit because he was right. He said it was his home because the partridge left his home long ago. Question number 3. Had you been in that situation, what would you do? The answer is I had been in that situation and I had solved the problem by myself. Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Sakshan Nautial, class 4D, roll number 28. My topic is The Little Bully. Once upon a time, not so very long ago, there was a small boy called Hari. Although he wasn't very big, he was strong and loved to tease all the boys and girls who want to school with him. What he loved to do most of the pinch, he could make big brows at half second. Another trick he played was pricking people with a pen. So you can guess how all the children heard him. They tried pricking him back, but that was not good, because he could always pinch harder and did not like telling their teacher, because that is called telling tales. It so happened that a class wanted to be a picnic to a seaside. For the whole day, all the children were most excited on the day. The sunny shone brightly, and all the children were wild excitement. When they arrived at the seaside, out jumped all the children with shout and joy. Down and sand they raced hand to hand, but nobody took Hari's hand. Nobody were him. Hari was angry. He went to sandy corner near to rocky pool. He sat down himself. He took his lunch, looked at it. There was a good lunch. There were 2 hard-boiled, 6 jam sandwiches, and 3 pieces of bread and butter, and a garlic cake, and bar of chocolate. He would eat all thing by himself. He would not offer anything to anyone. Just as he was beginning on the egg, he heard the hoarse voice.
Good morning, sir. My name is Kavya Sivakoti, class 4D, roll number 16, CV, Raman House. Today I am going to tell what is bullying and how to stop bullying. Number 1. What is bullying? When one student or a group of students keeps picking on another student again and again to make them feel bad. They say or do things to upset. It's called bullying. Number 2. How do we stop bullying? Number 1. Ask someone so the bully will stop. Number 2. Stay calm. Number 3. Helping someone who is being bullied. Number 4. To take bullying seriously. Thank you, sir.